We're here today in Rowley Reserve in Brompton, looking at the benefits of having quality green open space in a medium density development. The beauty of this particular example is that water comes off the rooftops and actually is diverted into the soil profile within this area, which passively irrigates this area. And you can see when you look around that the trees, the grass, all the vegetation is really quite healthy as a consequence of keeping that water in the environment. Interestingly, most developments, that water is diverted into stormwater drains, which then runs away from the site. But here they've chosen to keep that water in the site and gain the benefit from that being within the soil profile.
So this is a model of the new Brompton estate, and this is the central part of the estate, and it includes 18 townhouses which are located around the outside of the reserve. The water comes from the roofs of the 18 residences and passes through some pipes that come from the roof area, of course, and then they pass into a gravel-filled trench which runs around three sides of the reserve. The rainwater that comes from the roofs comes into the gravel-filled trench and fills the voids between the gravel particles. And the trench is about 2 metres away from the trees. The second pathway of the water is through to this point where it goes into a bore that goes down to the aquifer, and that aquifer is 30 metres below ground level, and the water in that aquifer has a quite high salinity of about 2,000 parts per million. But when the rainwater from the trench is added to it, it forms a sort of shandy, and the water quality is improved so that the salinity level is reduced from 2,000 parts per million to 500. And that water can be pumped up by putting a submersible pump there, pumped up and used for irrigation of the reserve. I'm standing over the infiltration trench, which receives the water from the roofs of the houses, and it goes into the trench, as I've explained, and provides what we call passive irrigation for these beautiful trees that you can see behind me and beside me. The roots of the trees are drawn to the water in the infiltration trench.
So we're here today on a 40-degree day. It's really quite hot out in the sun and quite hot in other areas, but within the park, within the shade, it's really quite comfortable. We're going to demonstrate now exactly what the temperatures are, and we're looking at surface temperature and just how much moisture is in the soil, so we'll get our little gadgets and have a look around. Okay, so we'll look at the surface temperature over here in the shaded area with some nice green vegetation around, and it's 35.4 degrees. Looking over here, we've got some nice green grass. That has a surface temperature of about 49 degrees. And looking at the surface temperature of the playing surfaces within the kids' playground, we've got 67 degrees for the bark chip and 80 degrees for the softball. And over here we have some not so healthy grass, which has a temperature of 58 degrees. The value that is placed on this type of green open space is quite huge. You've got economic values because you're reducing the air conditioner use. If you were living in one of these homes around here, the air's cooler. You can bring the family out here and not be stuck inside with the air conditioner going. But there's also a personal value, I suppose, because you've got this amenity outside. You've got access to something which is really quite nice. It brings you back to nature, and you're really engaging with nature in a way that is helping us in our livability and sustainability of living.